goal or aim of this agency is to equip the Canadian Armed Forces with the tools and equipment they need at the speed of relevance, bringing Canadian industry into the tent to stimulate our own economy and to create good-paying jobs for Canadians. We're going to continue to build out our defence relationships and security relationships with like-minded countries that share our values. And don't worry, we're still going to work with our partners to the south, but we're not going to be spending 75 cents of our dollar south. We'll be amortizing that money out in Canada where we can, and then spending it in other places where we have to.
Canada has a long history of slow and problem-plagued defence procurement. The Carney government is hoping to change that with a new agency tasked with managing military purchasing. But will it work? Retired Vice-Admiral Mark Norman is the former commander of the Royal Canadian Navy. He's the director of Genoa Design International and a senior defence strategist with Samuel Associates. Vice-Admiral Norman, welcome back to Power Play. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Mike.
You likely know the frustrations of military procurement better than most people in this country. So do you think what the government presented today is a true fix to the system?
Well, I wouldn't categorize it as a complete fix, and I think we need to be reasonable in our expectations. This is a huge step forward, and there's no denying that this is probably the most substantial change to procurement in Canada in decades. It's a work in progress, and it's definitely the first step in the right direction.
The Secretary of State of Defence Procurement, Stephen Fuhr, says that the goal of the agency is to equip the Canadian Armed Forces at the speed of relevancy. How worried are you that this could just add another layer of bureaucracy to the process?
Well, I think we're going to see a transition here. I'm hopeful and reasonably confident that the government's going to punch through the transition as quickly as they reasonably can. But in that period, there's going to be some adjustments. There's going to be some realignment of organizations and people and authority and expenditure authority, et cetera, et cetera. But I do believe that this is based on the model we've seen in some of our closest allies, and it has proven to be a very successful approach. There is no perfect solution to these problems, but this is definitely going to get us going in the right direction. And I think things will start to move much faster. And we're already starting to see a couple of what I would describe as flagship initiatives, including the submarine procurement, which has been in the news in the last few weeks.
Are you sensing a new urgency on this level of government or of this government now when you consider the fact that in the past a lot of these decisions have kind of been dragged down the road? I mean, we're thinking about F-35s as well. I know you mentioned the submarine, but do you think, especially where the world is at right now, that this government has a new sense of purpose going into this?
Well, yeah, certainly, and that's been part of their language, and the Prime Minister himself is actively engaged in this. You know, the last time we saw something like this was during the Afghanistan conflict. And there are some parallels there. And I think there are lessons that we can learn from that experience where we were able to do things very quickly and get the troops the equipment they need in a very rapid fashion. And that's the kind of language that Secretary Fuhr is using. There's no point in taking 10 years to buy something that is obsolete by the time it's delivered. And I think that's part of the rapid evolution of military procurement that we're trying to implement here.
Yeah, and the Secretary of State also hasn't been able to properly articulate a target for the amount that they're going to spend or likely not spend in the U.S. How big of a problem is that for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, as we've heard the Prime Minister say, I mean, roughly 75 cents of every dollar we spend on equipment, or capital as we call it, has been going to U.S. suppliers. You're not going to turn that off overnight. As is the case in other sectors of our economy. You know, there's very complicated interconnections that have to be unraveled, and in some cases may never be unraveled. But I think as we look to pivot to other partnerships, either in the Atlantic or deeper into the Pacific, that gives us opportunities to not only get alternate sources, but also to build new partnerships and to be honest, part of this is we need to build our own industrial capacity. We need some resilience that we have not had because we've basically become a consumer-based economy as it relates to defense procurement. And I think we can do a lot more here at home.
How much more do you think we can do at home? Because I think Canadians look at that and they say, well, what do we have that can really be leaned into?
Well, I mean, we have a variety of innovative sectors. I mean, we have a great aviation sector. We've now built a very competent shipbuilding sector. I mean, those are big things, but we have enormous competencies in terms of advanced manufacturing, composite materials, robotics, software, AI. We could be a world leader in drone technology, for example. Now, some Canadians may not like that, but the reality is that those things are needed. We need them for ourselves, and we need them for some of our friends and allies around the world. I'll give you an example. I mean, we're spending a lot of money helping Ukraine. We could be building a lot of things for Ukraine here in Canada, as opposed to just writing checks to other people to deliver the equipment to Ukraine. Again, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think we're on the right path, and we're moving down with some urgency, and that's encouraging to me.
Last question I have for you. At the press conference, the Secretary of State said he didn't feel pressure to make a decision about the F-35s. Is that bothersome to you?
I think the government's being extremely strategic in how they're playing this. To be honest, there are deeper issues playing out with our neighbors to the south. This goes back to some of the industrial things we were just discussing in the previous question. But we also know that there's a much bigger set of concerns with respect to trade agreements, tariffs, and the like. And I think the government's keeping their powder dry, so to speak.
All right, we'll leave it there. Retired Vice-Admiral Mark Norman, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate your time.